Hi everyone, this is Sean. Welcome to the latest episode of Fitness Reborn. I am the owner of Renaissance Fitness Personal Training, where we put movement ahead of workouts. And in this episode, I have another guest. This is my second guest. My guest today is Natalie Fayman. She is a weight loss and mental fitness coach, and she is going to be on this program to talk about all the things being healthy and losing weight and getting stronger and just getting better. So welcome, Natalie.
Thank you so much, Sean. Thanks for having me.
Thank you for being here, and thank you again for suffering through the technical difficulties at the beginning.
No worries.
All right. So let's just start from the very beginning, okay? So just, I'm assuming I know nothing about you. Like, I just met you a second ago.
Okay.
I didn't look over your profile, your website, nothing. All right, so go ahead and let's start with your background. What got us here today?
Oh boy, that's a long story. So I think, like a lot of people, I struggled with my weight for most of my life, and I reached 240 pounds as my heaviest. And I had struggled with one failed diet after another. And, you know, I would lose weight temporarily, and then I would just hit this point of just misery and rebellion. I think a lot of people kind of get to that point where it's too much work, it's not sustainable, and they're just so focused on what they're missing out on that you get to the point where you just tell yourself, I would just rather be fat and happy. And so I kept bouncing up and down. I had, at the peak of my desperation, I actually had weight loss surgery. I lost 75 pounds, and then I gained every last bit of that back. And what I realized when that happened was that the problem was not in my stomach, it was in my head. So back in 2019, I accidentally stumbled across a life coach who worked with women to help them lose weight. And what she taught me really clicked for the first time in my life, changing my mindset and just learning all the ways that I was sabotaging myself and setting myself up for failure. It finally just all made sense to me. And over the following 18 months, I lost 85 pounds. And it was amazing to me that, number one, it was easy. It wasn't a struggle. Number two, the side effects of the work that I was doing with the coach actually made me a calmer, happier person. I was less stressed out. I became optimistic about my future for the first time in probably 30 years. And I just became, all my relationships got better. And I just became such a calmer, happier person. And the weight loss was actually a side effect of that. And in hindsight, I realized that really the most important ingredient, I think, to sustainable weight loss is getting on top of that negative self-image that a lot of people carry around with them, myself included. Learning to be happy and learning to be content with the life that you are building for yourself. That alleviates so much of the negativity that we eat over to make ourselves feel better. So I think the point underneath all that is that when we gain weight, most of the time, it's not because we're always hungry. It's because there is an emotional need and we are trying to comfort ourselves with food.
Absolutely agree. Okay. So you say you stumbled across the life coach. So just kind of going about your life, and then what, you saw an advertisement somewhere?
I was scrolling Facebook and I passed a video of this lady, and it looked like she was really upset about something. I had the sound turned off, and I just clicked on it to see what she was talking about, and I watched her for like 30 minutes. Everything she said just makes so much sense, because it was like she had been living in my life. She knew exactly what I was struggling with. She knew all the negative, painful thoughts I had been carrying around about myself. And I wanted to hear more. So I joined her group. And the more I learned how to dig into my own thoughts and how to redirect myself in a more positive direction, the easier and easier it got. And the more insights I started to have. And it flowed so naturally from there.
Gotcha. Okay, so what exactly did this woman do for you that kind of just opened up your whole world and changed your life?
I think probably the most important thing is realizing that we have to take responsibility for our own thoughts and our own emotions. I hear so many times people say, well, I'm trying to lose weight, but my family keeps ordering pizza every Friday night. How am I supposed to lose weight when they won't cooperate? And, realizing that other people are not responsible to change their behavior so that you can have success. They can do what they want, but so can you. Sure. Just because there's pizza in the house and that's what my family's eating doesn't mean that's what I have to eat. My family doesn't have to go on a diet so that I can lose weight. And, not blaming other people for my setbacks, not expecting other people to change their behavior, just, fully realizing that I have responsibility. It's my choice. And because it's my choice, I can't tell myself a story about how miserable I am and how much it sucks and how hard it is and what a struggle it is. I'm choosing whatever I'm doing. It's my choice. And it's also my responsibility to find a way to think about it so that it's a positive experience for me, so that I'm not dragging myself through a miserable struggle, because if that's what's happening, it's only a matter of time before I get discouraged and want to quit.
Right, exactly. That's more or less the message I communicate to my own clients. Is
Yeah.
that you have no power over anyone else.
Exactly.
You only can control your own actions here, and the more you accept that, the easier it gets.
Yep.
Because then you realize, well, you have all the power in the world to do what you want.
Absolutely.
Or not do what you want.
Yeah.
So, I identify that.
100%. People always say change is hard. Change is not hard. Our resistance to change is what makes it hard.
Mm-hmm. Exactly right. So you identify in your profile that you went through quite a bit of emotional trauma, and sounds like a pretty hard beginning. So in terms of your weight, so was your weight just like the culmination of all the stuff that you had been through, and you were just kind of eating away through your troubles?
I think, like a lot of people, I used food to calm myself down when I was stressed out. I used food to keep myself company when I was lonely. I used food to entertain myself when I was bored. It became my preferred tool to manage all of my emotions. If I had something to celebrate, if I had something I was angry about, it was always food. I don't have any siblings, and my family moved around so much that I literally had no stable relationships in my life other than food. And food was always there for me, and food never judged me. And it just became this vicious cycle. And eventually, when I went through that traumatic event that you referenced, it really just got dramatically worse from there, because I started using my weight as a suit of armor to protect myself from all the things out there in the big, bad, scary world that might hurt me. And it was my way of physically distancing myself from everyone else, so that I could just be safe in my little jail cell of fat. And I didn't realize for so many years that I was doing that to myself on a subconscious level. And again, through this process that I went through with my weight loss coach, I realized I have all the tools that I need. I don't need this weight anymore. And it made it that much easier for me to just kind of let go of those old maladaptive skills that were just making me miserable.
Right. It's interesting what you noted is that your weight was a suit of armor. Now, most of the people that I deal with, either professionally or not, they see their weight as their biggest vice. Like, it's not a suit of armor. It's it's essentially their ruin, their downfall. So, it's the duality between I use my food for comfort to make me feel better, but then again, when I go out and I face the world, there's all this after effect that is hanging off of me that I don't like. And it makes me feel very self-conscious.
Yeah.
And so that's a weird juxtaposition.
It's a common thing, though, because if you think about the way our brains are wired from the caveman days, your brain is set up to seek pleasure, to avoid discomfort, and to take the path of least resistance, to do whatever is easiest. And your subconscious brain does not care about consequences. If you are feeling lonely, angry, stressed out, whatever the negative emotion is, you want to feel better right now. And your subconscious is not at all concerned about consequences. So when you grab the ice cream or the cookies or whatever it is, you feel better for that moment while you're eating it. And then you have to deal with the consequences later. But it's that moment of relief that keeps that dopamine hit going, that keeps that habit loop reinforced. And even when we realize consciously that what we're doing is counterproductive and it's taking us in the wrong direction, we've reinforced that habit so many times that we feel powerless to stop it.
Right. Yeah, that primitive part of our brain, the amygdala, and the lymphatic system, it can override so much. And you're right. The evolutionary process does not. It wants to keep us, because we come from a time when we had to preserve energy and preserve calories and all that stuff. So the easiest way of getting something done was the preferred way of getting something done. So when we talk to people about the stuff that we talked about, we're kind of going against the tide of evolution here, and which is why I think so many people struggle with it so much.
Exactly.
Do you agree with that?
Absolutely. And the other side of that also is that you can't solve an emotional problem with logic. And when you're eating to soothe your emotions, logically you know this is not going to get you where you want to go, but all you care about is emotionally feeling better in that moment. So you need a better emotional solution for an emotional problem.
All right. So you also in your profile you mentioned overgiver syndrome.
Yes.
I'm assuming that's a term of your own design.
Not necessarily. I just adopted it because it fits so well.
Okay. So why don't you expand on that? Because I feel like that's something a lot of people could probably identify to, especially women.
Oh, yeah. Well, for the time we're children, we women, we're just trained to be givers and caretakers and to put everybody else's needs ahead of what our needs are. And for me, myself, I went into veterinary medicine, which is a caretaking kind of field. And so I'm constantly, for 24 years, I was in the emergency room. Oh my gosh. And I just, for my whole life, I have just reinforced this behavior pattern of always giving everyone else what they need, sacrificing my sleep, sacrificing my days off, sacrificing hours after the end of whatever my shift was for that day so that I could stay late, make sure everybody else was taken care of, to the point where I would finish every day exhausted and frustrated and just completely demoralized, having saved no time or no energy to take care of myself. And then I would just get up and do it all again the next day. I did this for 30, 35 years. And I just realized it got to a point where it was no longer sustainable because I was headed to a disaster, a medical or a physical disaster, if I didn't do something different. And so that was another big driver of my decision to pursue life coaching. It's such a different type of giving. It's way more fulfilling, and I feel energized and recharged at the end of the day instead of completely drained. But
So how do you approach that with one of your clients?
Well,
how do you work with
it's difficult because, again, as women, we are just ingrained to give to everybody else, and especially people who have children, women who have kids. There's that mommy guilt. If you take 5 friggin' minutes for yourself, you're being selfish. That's what we train ourselves to believe. But you can't keep pouring from a pitcher indefinitely. You have to refill your energy well before you can give to other people. And you owe it. If you're taking care of children or a spouse or aging parents, you owe it to them to give them the best version of yourself, which is not the exhausted, stressed out, frustrated, burned out version of yourself.
Right.
So taking care of yourself is priority one. Otherwise, you cannot take care of other people to the best of your ability.
Absolutely agree too. So again, in my own experience, because I work with a lot of women too, and I think actually, as a fitness trainer, I think women probably make the majority of the fitness training client demographic, honestly. So yeah, that's kind of a big one too, because you get a lot of kind of last minute cancellations, because kid's sick, kid has this soccer practice, this, that, or the other, is something that, we're talking about married women too. They have a spouse that could maybe pick up some of these things, but no, it always has to fall on them.
Right.
That's been your experience too?
Absolutely. We have to have a full-time job and then come home and have another full-time job taking care of the house and the kids. And we feel guilty asking for help because we think we should be able to do it all. We're not allowed to have a moment of weakness. We're not allowed to have needs of our own. And it's such a self-destructive mindset to have, because you are not going to be able to keep that up into your old age.
No, not at all. So you mentioned earlier that you had, now as far as you as a coach, you had your own kind of 10 pillars of success that you would work through with somebody that is your client. So why don't you go ahead and walk us through that?
Sure.
So take us through that journey.
Yeah, absolutely. So these are the 10 biggest insights that I had while I was losing my 85 pounds. Number one is consistency beats intensity. And I was always coming from the intensity camp. Like when I decided I was going to lose weight, I would decide I was going to eat 1,000 calories a day. I was going to work out twice a day. I was going to log everything that went into my mouth. I was going to be so good. And I fried myself. I could keep that up for 1 week, maybe two. What I didn't realize until much later was that your weight, the way your body looks, it's the result of your eating habits and your lifestyle choices on a daily basis. It's not what you do for 1 week or 2 weeks or 4 months or however long you think you can keep up that white knuckle intensity. You're way better off doing less and doing it consistently and finding a flow that just feels easy and sustainable, because that you can keep up for the rest of your life. And as you build momentum, as you start feeling better and feeling more energy, then you can start to level up here and there gradually over time, not all at once like what I tried to do. So that's the first one. Second commandment is temporary changes create temporary results. And so that speaks a little bit into what we just talked about, but also when people say, oh, I'm going to take this weight loss drug, or I'm going to use this shake, or I'm just going to cut out carbs. And if you're not willing or able to keep that up for the rest of your life, whatever weight you lose as a result of that pill or shake or cutting out that food group, it's only going to last until you stop doing it. So all diets work until we stop doing them. The thing is, nobody can stand to stay on a restrictive diet forever because it feels miserable. So the eating habits that will be the most effective for permanent weight loss are the ones that you can keep up for the rest of your life. So make it easy and you'll be way more successful.
Totally agree.
Number 3 is don't eat diet food. People think that they have to eat food that they don't even like because it's healthy and because it's going to help them lose weight. But it's the same thing.
Things like quinoa.
Well, I like quinoa, but
me too. I've heard people not tell me a lot.
Yeah, no, but if you're making yourself eat something that you don't even like because you think it's going to help you lose weight, you are going to be focused on all the things that you're missing out on. And the thing is, again, what I started talking about before is that we don't gain weight because we eat fattening food. We gain weight because we eat when we're not hungry, because we are looking for some sort of an emotional crutch, something to make us feel better in the moment. Right. I lost 85 pounds eating all kinds of crap that people would just like say, you can't eat that and lose weight. I was putting heavy whipping cream in my coffee. I was eating cheesecake twice a week, whatever it was. I didn't give up any of my favorite foods. I just had to give up stuffing myself every night until I had to unbutton my pants. So rule number 4 is stop beating yourself up. So when something goes wrong, we take it like a failure. This is a personal failure. I suck. I knew I couldn't do this. And it just creates so much emotional pain. And how do we seek relief from emotional pain? For most of us, we eat. So the more you pay attention to your feelings, if you are looking at whatever it is that you're doing to try to lose weight, if you're looking at it as a punishment, you're going to want to resist it and you're going to want to avoid it. because, again, our brains are hardwired to seek pleasure and ease and comfort and to avoid pain and discomfort. So when something goes wrong, you fall off the wagon, you ate the donut, whatever it was, don't tell yourself a story about what a failure you are and how it's hopeless and I'm just going to be fat forever. Just look at what led to that situation, come up with how you're going to respond next time, and then move on. Because one mistake does not hurt you, but a spiral of mistakes will. So when one donut turns into a binge that lasts for 2 weeks, because what's the point? I already made a mistake. I might as well screw the rest of the day. That's where we do more damage to ourselves. It's just going to take longer for us to recover from.
I know for someone like myself too, because I've rewired my brain so within such an intense level these days. Like if I stray off of my plan, then I do feel this tinge in the back of my head saying, "Man, you're gonna screw up everything. You better get it together." That kind of thing. So I can identify with that completely.
Yeah, we are all very quick to judge ourselves, and that, again, that just creates more pain, and then we have to deal with that pain somehow, and for so many of us, that lifelong habit of eating is just going to come right back.
Right.
So rule number 5 is don't fail ahead of time. So when you tell yourself a story about what you believe, like I can't lose weight no matter what I do, it becomes a self-fulfilling prophecy, because the way we think creates our feelings, and our feelings determine what we do, and what we do creates our results. So if you already believe that you can't lose weight, you will prove yourself right every time, because the results that we generate in our life always align with what we already believe to be true. So,
right, it's a mental
if you're telling yourself the story about no matter what I do, I can never lose weight, and the donuts show up in the break room at work, you're going to be like, well, it's not going to matter anyway. I might as well eat the donut. And so when you eat the donut, you don't lose weight. You just proved your belief true. And that brings you just one step closer to getting frustrated and giving up. So tell yourself a better story. Tell yourself that you want to live a long, healthy life, that you don't want your knees to hurt anymore. Whatever it is you have to tell yourself to make it a positive experience, because you will feel your mood shift when you talk to yourself with positivity and optimism, and you don't have to feel like you're dragging yourself through a torture fest anymore. So tell yourself the story that you want to believe, the story that's going to get you to the result that you want. Number 6 is no victim stories. This kind of builds off the last one. The way that you talk to yourself determines your success or the lack thereof. So, again, when you look at everybody around you eating cookies or eating birthday cake, and you're telling yourself, this is not fair, I deserve a treat, everyone else is having some, I should get to have some too. What kind of feeling does that generate? Resentment, FOMO, and then you just want to rebel. And so you're really relying on your willpower to get you through moments like that. And willpower is not an inexhaustible resource. Willpower is very limited. And when it's gone, you have to build it back up again. So it's like a dam that's holding back the pressure of all your negative emotions all day. And the more pressure you put on it, the closer it is to breaking down. So don't say things like, I have to go to the gym, I have to eat salad for lunch today, whatever it is. Say, I want to. I get to, because that you are choosing this because you want something better for yourself. It shouldn't be a miserable torture. A victim is somebody who has no choice and no control. That is not the situation that's going to lead you to success. So just realize whatever it is that you're doing to get to a healthier lifestyle, you're choosing it, embrace it, and enjoy it. Make it fun. Make it something that you look forward to. Number 7 is no blaming other people. We talked about this a little bit already, but no one else has the responsibility to make you successful. I said your family doesn't have to go on a diet so you can lose weight. So this really, it disempowers you. If you are trying to put the responsibility for your success onto other people, it takes that power away from you. And if they decide that they're not on board, then your plans just went up in flames because you're depending on them to do the right thing so that you can have the perfect environment to be able to achieve the results that you want. So take responsibility for yourself. If no one else wants to go to the gym with you, go anyway. If everyone else wants to order pizza, eat what you had planned to eat and let them have their enjoyment. Don't blame them. Don't give them nasty looks. And there'll be a whole lot less tension in the household.
Right. And I would actually add on to that an addendum saying that when you decide to do that, you decide that no matter what they do, no matter what they say, they can go one direction, I'm going another. Be prepared for a lonely road.
Yeah.
Because you're going to end up probably losing a few people. Because, all these folks here, you're trying to get healthy,
Yeah.
you're trying to get strong, you're trying to drop all this weight. Well, or you're trying to just be successful in business or school or whatever. You're really trying to just one up your life or level up in your life. And that means that you're not going to the clubs every Friday. You're not going to the movies. You're not, partying. You are taking things seriously now. You're on a different wavelength. You're on a different track. And the more you distance yourself from those people, the greater that distance is just going to get. And it's just you're going to have to find another
That
tribe.
is so true. Absolutely. Because, people tell me all the time, I'm afraid that my friends won't want to hang out with me anymore if I can't go drinking with them every Friday. Well, if drinking is the only thing that makes you interesting enough for them to want to be friends with, those probably aren't the friends that you want anyway. And
if they were your friends, they'd support you no matter what.
And the other thing is, I think you've probably heard before that saying that we are the average of the 10 people that we spend the most time with. So who do you want to be influenced by? I would want to be influenced by the people who are already living the kind of lifestyle that I want to be living, not the people that are going to trigger me to go back into old habits.
Right, yeah. You got to find people who are at where you want to be, or at least are going in that direction already.
Yeah.
And you want to say, hey, can I come along too?
Yeah.
You want to find them. You want to find them out. These people over here, they're not going anywhere. You're gonna have to let them be where they want to be.
Because I can go hang out with my drinking buddies and tell myself I'm not going to have a drink, but it's going to be white knuckle the whole night. I'm going to feel miserable. I'm going to feel like I'm missing out. I would really like to be having some. Or I can go hang out with people from the bicycle club and go out on a long bike ride, and I have absolutely no temptation to be drinking. I don't feel like I'm missing out on anything.
But again, it's that evolutionary pull, because we're social beings. And way back in the day when we were fighting daily for survival, if you were ousted by your social group, well, there's no power in being an individual out there with all these hunters and predators running around here. You need the group for safety. So again, it's the evolutionary.
That's why we want to be like everybody else around us. We don't want to be doing anything different. Yeah,
Exactly,
but like you said, choose a different tribe. Choose the tribe that's doing what you wish you were doing.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Okay.
No, that was great. Perfect. All right. Number 8 is do not postpone your happiness. People tell themselves, I'll be happy when I lose my weight. When I finally get to 130 pounds, I'll be so happy the world will be perfect. Yeah. And that's a load of crap. Happiness comes from inside you. It's not a function of your environment. It's not a function of who you're with or what you look like. And postponing your happiness until you get to a certain point means that you're going to drag all those negative feelings all the way down the scale with you, and you'll just end up hating yourself in a smaller body. There's large women who are 100% confident in their beauty, and there are string bean supermodels that hate themselves and wake up feeling worthless every day. And it's, again, happiness is a choice, and being unhappy is one of the biggest drivers for emotional eating. So it is so important to start working on that now at the beginning of your weight loss journey rather than waiting until you get to the finish line, because there's no magical happiness switch that just flips itself when you get there. And plus, there's just no reason to wait to be happy.
No. Just decide to be happy now, even if it's for the moment here. I mean, sometimes you really have to just make that decision that you're just going to be happy. You say, you know what, I'm not going to let it eat at me. I'm just going to be happy.
Happiness comes from the way you think about yourself and the way you talk to yourself. And that takes practice, but it is a choice. Yeah.
Absolutely.
Number 9 is no punishment workouts. So there's no making up for overeating by over-exercising. I tried this for so many years. Like, I used to tell myself a story about how, I work out more than 3 people put together. I should get to eat whatever I want. And that got me all the way to 240 pounds. So there's two...
Now you can't outrun
No, I love that though. But there's 2 reasons why that's so important. Number 1, exercise should never be a punishment. Exercise should be something that you enjoy and look forward to.
Right.
And, your body is way too efficient to be fooled by that kind of jokery. I mean, I would have to sprint, dead sprint for 90 minutes on a treadmill, which I cannot do, in order to burn the same number of calories that it would take me 10 minutes to eat with a Chick-fil-A deluxe and medium fries. It's just your body is way too smart for that. So do exercise because you enjoy it, because you enjoy the effects of it. There's a million reasons to exercise, but making up for overeating is not one of them.
No.
And the last one is my favorite. Throwing food away is not a sin, despite what your mother told you when you were a child. We were all told that we have to clean our plate because there's kids starving in Africa. There's no kid in Africa that's going to get a free meal because I decide to overeat. That's just not how it works.
Well, I think with all good intentions, the message here really was, you're getting more in one meal than some kid gets in a week. So, be gracious for it. So I think that it was a well-intentioned message, but it had ill effects. Yeah,
for sure. But honestly, to me, the only waste of food is to carry it around on my hips and thighs 24/7 for the rest of my life because I ate too much. So if I don't want to waste food, I need to learn how to plan my meals for the week and how to not overbuy and how to not have a bunch of food sitting in the refrigerator that I'm going to spend all week going, I got to eat that. It's going to go bad. There's no bigger waste of food than overeating, in my opinion. So my weight loss coach always used to say you can waste it in the trash or you can waste it on your ass.
That's a good one.
Yeah.
That's a good one. That sticks. That's memorable. Well, that's good. That is a very comprehensive and very I'll just say very catchy kind of philosophy you got there. Is that the kind of the overarching philosophy that you have with your clients?
Yeah, it really just comes down to, there's always, the process of weight loss is pretty simple. It's just math, but it's more than just that. It's really, you have to get your emotions and your thoughts in line with your goals. Because until those things are lined up, you're always going to be resisting your own progress. And it really starts with finding a better way to talk to yourself, finding a better way to think about yourself. When you are happy with yourself and the life that you're building, you don't need to soothe yourself with food. And food just becomes something that you nourish your body with.
Right. Yeah, it becomes fuel. It becomes a partner in your journey.
Yeah, because if I really love myself, I don't want to put a bunch of Cheetos in my body because there's no actual food in there. It's all a bunch of toxic chemicals.
Right. Yeah. Well, going back to what you said, all things in moderation. Sometimes the ultimate act of love in that moment is to eat those Cheetos. It's like, okay, that felt good. We're talking about habits here. So if it's a habitual problem, or if it's habitual for you to wolf down Cheetos, then that's going to cause the problem. It's the same with alcohol. You have 3 glasses of alcohol in 1 week. That's not killer in any regard. It's just that you have 3 glasses every night, all week long. then that's the
Yeah.
problem here. So we're talking about levels of
Exactly.
degree.
Yeah. I mean, that's what I told myself every day. Oh, it's a special occasion. There's cookies at work, or there's donuts, or we're ordering pizza after work. But every day there was another reason why it was a special occasion. And that's, I have to admit to myself that the body that I have is the product of my lifestyle, my eating and my exercise habits. And there's no excuse that I can come up with that's going to make that not true. So if I'm not happy with the body that I'm in, then I have to look at my habits and see what am I willing to change.
Gotcha. So as a coach, all right, we still are, but I think we are starting to really come out of it. We're during the COVID-19 pandemic, which hasn't left us completely. How was that for you as a coach? Did you see a downturn in your business? Did you see uptick? Or
COVID was actually when I took the opportunity to put myself through coach training school. So I had really been kind of stuck in a rut with, my career of 30 plus years. I am a veterinarian, but I didn't really feel a lot of excitement and optimism for the future just because of how drained I felt at the end of every day and how much energy it took out of me. I knew it wasn't going to be sustainable. But I didn't really know what I wanted to do with the rest of my life until I had this experience with my coach and saw how life-changing it was for me and for the other women that were going through the same process. So COVID was really when I had the opportunity to take a step back and say, I have a chance to do something amazing for myself, and let me stop making excuses and let me do it. But in general, no, I understand totally what you mean, because COVID put so much stress on people and it just amplified, everybody's anxiety. And again, we compensate for those things trying to make ourselves feel better with food. So a lot of people turn to food because of the COVID stress.
Right. And there were all kinds of other triggers in there too because of the lockdown. So social isolation, social distancing became very popular buzzwords, and you heard it absolutely everywhere. It was really weird, when COVID-19 hit, because the word isolation before then was deemed a negative term. It wasn't something you wanted. To be isolated, it was like a punishment.
Exactly.
But now, with this pandemic raging across the planet, it's a good thing now to be isolated.
Yeah.
It was bizarre.
Yeah, I definitely feel like we're kind of losing the skill of connecting with other humans because everything has just progressed to, talking to people on a computer. Not that I don't enjoy talking to you on the computer, but it just doesn't take the place of a real human
Some things
connection.
are just necessary. Yeah. I never could stop going to work myself because I work in a hospital.
Yeah.
So I was an essential employee.
Same.
So I always had to go to work. But there were a lot of things that were Zoom called now, and I'm pretty burnt out on Zooms.
I hear you. It's interesting though. One of the things I had kind of noticed in my past, but really just got put under a magnifying glass during the pandemic. I have always really tied a lot of my identity up in like the things that I'm able to do. Like, for example, I've been a martial artist since I was 14 years old, and going to the dojo was just who I was. Yeah, it was such a huge part of me. When I couldn't go to the dojo, when I couldn't go to taiko class anymore, which has been my obsession for the last 5 years, when I couldn't do those things anymore, it was like I felt depressed and I felt worthless because those things were who I was, and when they were gone, my identity went with them. So it took me a lot of soul searching to realize that what I do is not who I am. It's the personal qualities that I have that make me good at doing those things. That is who I am. So it's my determination, my self-discipline, my love of challenging myself. Those things can't be taken away from me just because COVID shuts everything down.
Right. Yeah, I did see in your profile and your website that you have a fifth degree black belt, correct? Right. So I figured that, okay, getting a black belt takes years, let alone
Yeah.
a fifth degree black belt. So that has to have started much earlier than the life
Oh yeah,
coaching
yeah, yeah.
career change. So, do you think the being a coach and being a martial artist, a committed martial artist, have kind of complemented one another? Because both, or losing, 85 pounds, because both take a tremendous amount of will and discipline. And martial arts, I do know, does emphasis personal discipline. Do you think they kind of very much
I think
complement
martial
one
arts
another?
has really built the foundation of who I am. I would not be the same person that I am today if I hadn't discovered martial arts when I was a teenager. It has given me so much, not only just discipline, but also like the physical coordination, the situational awareness, the confidence. The first time I picked up somebody that was twice my size and threw him on his ass, I was like, damn straight. That was me, I really connected with my personal power, and learning how to channel that, I think, has really served me in every area of my life, work, life coaching, whatever it is that I'm doing, martial arts is always there with me.
Yeah, great.
Yeah,
That's
thanks.
awesome. That's awesome. Okay, so let's say, all right, I sign on as a client to you. So walk me through what you would do.
Well, first I would want to find out what your goals are and what it is that you're struggling with. So if it's, for example, you find yourself sabotaging your meal plan every night at 8:00, we want to find out what it is that you are actually looking for. Because if you just had dinner and 2 hours later you're looking for a snack, what you're looking for is not in the kitchen. There's something emotionally that is driving you to look for a way to feel better, and that's what we need to find out so that we can start finding a better solution. It all comes down to your mindset. Really is everything. And if you're focused on what you're missing out on, what you can't have, what feels miserable, what feels hard, all of those things need to be shifted to when if you woke up every day excited about what you were going to do that day, excited about what you got to eat that day because you're eating only the things that you love, and knowing that you are doing amazing things for your body, it's not hard to stay on a program because you feel the benefits, you feel excited, you feel that love for yourself and that commitment to yourself. So getting people to that point really involves identifying all of the emotional roadblocks that kind of get in our own, we get in our own way because we're all stuck in our head and we're all focused on the negatives, when I wouldn't say it's an easy shift. It definitely takes practice because as humans, we're just pre-programmed to focus on negative and what's hard and what's missing and what we don't have. If we can learn to shift our thoughts to positive, to inspiration, to being eager to take the next step instead of dreading the next step, then it just flows and all of the obstacles just kind of melt out of the way.
Gotcha. Yeah. Right. So how long do people typically work with you?
It really just depends on what it is that they're trying to accomplish. So if I'm working with somebody that has a whole lifetime of anxiety and self-hatred, that's not going to be overcome in a couple of sessions. And everybody progresses at a different rate. So for me, it was probably 1.5 years before I really got it, before I felt like I could continue on my own without the help of a coach. For some people, there's just one little sticking point, and as soon as they figure that out, they're off and running. So it might just be 1 or 2 sessions. So it really just, I don't really like to put time limitations on anything. It's just, we keep going until we get you where you want to go, or until you have a clear line of sight and there's no more obstacles in front of you and you feel fully equipped to do it on your own.
Gotcha. Okay. Is there any particular type of client that usually seeks you out? I know you focus
Mostly on women, yeah, especially women in their middle to older years, just because I think that's, about the time when the kids go off on their own and they're kind of left at home with I don't even know who I am anymore because I've spent 30 years, taking care of my spouse and raising my kids and And now I'm not that person anymore, and I don't even know. So that's a lot of times people just kind of have that identity crisis, but they also have the time to finally focus on themselves for the first time. And so that's typically when people kind of find their way to me.
Right. Absolutely. Let's see. I know that typically a lot of times men go through that sort of thing too. It's not so much when they become empty nesters. It's when they worked at a job 35 years and now they're retired. They thought they were going to look forward to this day. Maybe the thrill of it was awesome for a week, but now they're like, well, what do I do with myself? You know, I don't know. Like you said, I don't know who I am anymore. I used to go to work at 7 in the morning every day. Now I don't do that. I'm lost.
It's a common thing.
So, is it for the demographic you really speak to? Is it really something that has really kind of like? Is there a real need for it? Have you seen a huge need for it?
It's
you know, their kids are grown, and so they don't need mommy anymore because they're off at college. I mean, they still maybe do here and there, but not like they used to. Have you seen that? Just really kind of
that is a huge issue. And again, that's almost exactly when the women kind of start looking for help, because you feel lost. You know, you've spent 20, 30 years defining yourself as a mother and, you know, somebody that went to work to be a nurse at the hospital every day. And when you retire, when the kids grow up and move away, God forbid if your spouse decides that they're going to leave or they pass away, you know, that happens too. And all of a sudden you don't even remember who you used to be, what you used to love to do, what your dreams and goals used to be, because you gave that away to somebody else for decades. And it can be really hard, and it can take some time to reconnect with that.
Okay, so going forward, what's in it for the future of Natalie as the coach?
I am really doing a lot of work around helping people to create stress resilience, because who isn't stressed out these days? Aren't we all? Yeah, but I've been working with a program called Positive Intelligence that has been utterly life-changing for me. And it has really taught me a lot of valuable skills and given me a lot of really amazing insights into why my brain works the way it does and why my behaviors have been what they are for my whole life. And I've noticed that, like, for example, working in the ER, sometimes I would have shifts that would go 18, 20, 22 hours, no sleep, high stress all the time. And it used to take me a good 2 or 3 days to recover mentally and emotionally, to the point where I didn't feel like I was going to have a panic attack at the thought of having to go back to work. Just a couple of weeks ago, I had a really horrific day at work, kind of on par with what I just described to you. I was recovered by the time I got home, like 15 minutes later, just because of the techniques that I've learned from Positive Intelligence. So I really think that this is basic stuff that should be taught to every human being on this planet. And what an amazing place this world would be if we all had these mental fitness skills to be able to fully take charge of our own emotion and our own experience on this earth, and to be better people, to be able to calm ourselves down before we go spiraling out on these stress attacks and yelling at people because you had a bad day, and there's so many ways that we drive people away from us and create our own obstacles. And being able to see that so clearly for the first time in my life has just really been transformational. Yeah. That's awesome.
Okay. So Natalie, if someone wanted to reach out to you, say they listen to this interview and they say, this woman is awesome, I want to know more about her, how would they?
So that would be my website, which is nolimitscoachingnow.com. There is a huge library of videos. I've been doing a video a week for more than a year now over all kinds of topics to help people create better lives for themselves. They can browse the video library. They can send me a message. They can book a free call with me so that I can just kind of help to get them on the right path. And if they enjoyed the talk that we had today, there's a series called The 10 Commandments of Weight Loss that they can sign up for that goes into a deeper dive on each of those points that I talked about.
Okay. Well, Natalie, this has been
Thank you.
beyond awesome.
Thanks for having me.
Much. Thanks again for
Not a
bearing
problem.
through all the technical difficulties. This whole
Not a
platform
problem.
is
Trust
new
me,
to
it's happened to me too.
What is going on here? So I guess it's good we got those first time bugs cleared out for the future. But okay, well, everybody, this is Natalie Fayman. She is a weight loss mental fitness coach. Where are you?
I'm in Southeast Florida, Boynton Beach.
Southeast Florida, the marvel of technology. I'm in central Iowa here, so all right. Well, thank you so much, everyone who might be listening. This is Sean from Renaissance Fitness. This is the Fitness Reborn podcast, and thanks so much for listening. And stay tuned for the next one.
Bye.